This is the Plaza Theatre podcast.
Grant's Tower is a psychological drama by Bob Heather. This is an abridged audio version of a full-length play that was written for the stage. The play contains strong language and themes of an adult nature.
Oi! Steady on! This is bloody ridiculous!
Just waiting for the inspector, sir. He shouldn't be too long.
Why should I wait in this godforsaken hole for your inspector to come? It's outrageous! I won't say a word until I've seen my lawyer. Not a word, do you hear? I demand my rights!
That is entirely up to you, sir. Just wait in here. Things shouldn't take too long. I'm afraid there is a murderer on the loose.
Damn it, man! What the hell do you think you're doing? Constable? Constable, open up! This is false imprisonment! And give me back my bloody phone! You out of your mind? I can have you for this! Open up! Open up at once! Ah! Bloody ridiculous. It's got to be some mistake. God, what a place. This is supposed to be 2020, not the bloody Dark Ages. I never expected to be left to rot in a bloody dungeon.
Yeah, my thoughts exactly.
Who the f... You the inspector?
Not guilty.
And where the devil is he?
I have no idea.
What the bloody hell are they playing at?
Don't let them get to you.
I'm not letting them get to me. I just want to know the meaning of all this. Why are you here?
The same reason you are.
Did Plod find you in the woods as well?
He did, yeah.
What's happening? You wouldn't tell me anything. Just that there'd been a murder. I don't really know whether to believe it. Not round here, anyway. This is a respectable part of Devon. Could ruin the tourist trade.
If a policeman tells you there's been a murder, there's been a murder. Young woman, apparently, in her early 20s.
I still don't believe it.
Well, it's happened. Otherwise we wouldn't be in here, would we?
They can't hold us for anything. Abso-bloody-lutely ridiculous.
Apparently they're still looking for suspects in the woods. She was stabbed. A knife was still in her chest, so he said.
You seem to know a lot about it.
Well, ask questions.
And so did I.
Yeah, but I asked politely, not aggressively like you probably did. It makes all the difference. Thinking about it, it makes sense to bring us here. The village is a good mile or so away, and the nearest police station is...
I know where it is, damn it. I am local. Who is the girl?
Don't know. He wouldn't tell me. Probably hasn't been identified.
Blonde or dark?
I just told you. He didn't say. Why? You know someone? A local girl, perhaps?
Of course not. Why should I?
Yeah, it's just that you seem anxious.
Well, so would you be if you were being held for murdering someone you've never seen?
I am being held, but it's only for questioning. Don't let your apprehension get the better of you, whether you are implicated or not.
I'm not bloody implicated.
Well, keep your hair
You're
on.
insinuating that I had something to do with this dead girl?
No, of course not. Everyone they find in the woods this evening will be suspect. While they were there, it's the first question the police will be asking.
Look here, young man. As we might well be locked in this dungeon for some while.
A tower.
Eh?
It's not a dungeon, it's a tower. Late 18th or early 19th century. Commissioned by William Grant against the French and built on his sister's land, Napoleon and all that. The idea is to light a fire at the top as a warning of invasion. A chain of beacons across the country. Most of the others fell into ruin, stone used for other buildings.
What are you, Wiki-bloody-pedia?
Some farmer must have restored this one.
If you use this place as a beacon, you could end up setting fire to the woods.
Well, the woods weren't as dense then. Grown since.
How do you know?
Old maps of the place.
I'm obliged for the history lesson, but as I was saying, I had nothing to do with the killing. Furthermore, I had a perfectly valid reason for being in the woods. I was taking the shortcut home from the station. I do it every day.
Well, tell the inspector, not me.
So I will. So I damn well will. You got a phone on you?
No, he took it off me.
Mine too, the bastard. I don't think they could do that.
I don't want to appear too forward, but as we may be here for some while, perhaps we ought to introduce ourselves. I'm Craig Johnson.
Michael Barton.
Barton?
You know me?
Yeah, you're vaguely familiar. You say you live nearby?
Yes. You've probably seen my name in the local paper. Comes up now and again, judging at fates, that sort of thing.
Yeah, of course.
I work in Plymouth. Company director. And you?
A school teacher.
Not history by any chance?
Well done. Go to the top of the class.
I hate to return to the question of murder, but at the moment you're one up on me.
One up? I don't follow.
Sounds foolish, I know, but look at it this way. You know my name, what I do, and what I was doing out there. Yet I only know your name and what you do. You haven't told me why you were in the woods yet.
You didn't ask me. And I didn't ask you. You told me. I suppose it makes you feel better. The evening's hardly begun, and you're already in a state. Be hours before they're through searching the woods. It stays light until about 10 nowadays. The police will be very thorough. You mark my words.
Then tell me, why were you in the woods?
I was going to meet my girlfriend. And you were taking a shortcut home. Now we're quits. Feel better?
You don't think that your girlfriend...
Most unlikely. She doesn't return home until after 7. And she comes from the other direction, not through the woods.
Is she from round here?
Yeah, she works in a dress shop. Fashion shop. Her name's Libby. Libby Rogers.
Libby?
You know her?
No, yes. Doesn't she live with her mother on the other side of the village? Last year's beauty queen, if I remember rightly. I've lived in the village for years. I know most of the faces. Though that policeman's a new one on me.
They all look the same in uniform and out. Probably arrived here in the last batch of keen young officers from police college.
I find the older you get, most of the police look as though they should still be in school.
You can't do this. Give me back my phone. I need it, damn you.
Kate! What the bloody hell are you doing here?
Well, I might ask the same about you. Why are you here?
Oh, no. Christ almighty, no.
Oh. I beg your pardon. I didn't realise there was someone else.
This is Craig Jackson.
Johnson.
Sorry, Craig Johnson. He teaches history. My wife, Kate.
Delighted to meet you.
Good evening.
Seems we're all in the same predicament.
I doubt it, because I haven't done anything wrong. But nothing would surprise me with you. After all, we don't know each other, do we? So we are hardly in the same predicament.
No, but the police will be a long time searching. If we're not in a predicament now, surely we'll be soon. Unless they let us go.
You've said that before.
Your husband is a rather anxious man, Mrs. Barton. Though you must know that already.
You don't seem to have any nerves at all. Bit cold-blooded, if you ask me.
I didn't ask you. But, for your information, I'm keeping my nerves for later. We haven't been questioned yet. I might need them then.
I dare say you will. And an alibi.
Michael, you said you wouldn't be home till late.
Meeting was cancelled.
Well, you told me it was a dinner engagement when you phoned this morning.
It was dinner, then it was a meeting, and then it was cancelled. You know what some of my clients are like.
Why didn't you phone and tell me?
My battery was low, so I had to turn my phone off.
You could have phoned from the station before leaving. You've done it before.
I had to make a dash for the train. I waited for the fellow to turn up. He didn't, so I decided to try and catch my usual train.
How do you know he cancelled his appointment if you had turned your phone off? He might just have been late.
His secretary phoned just before I left the office, but as it turned out, would have been totally pointless trying to phone you anyway.
Why?
Well, because you were out in the woods. You must have been, otherwise you wouldn't be here waiting to be questioned. Or questioning me. Why were you in the woods?
It was such a lovely evening, so I decided to go for a walk. You said you were going to be late, so what better than a stroll?
It wasn't by any chance that you'd arranged to meet someone when you knew I'd be late home.
Meet who? You can't even have a ghost of an affair within 10 miles of here without the whole village knowing.
Who said anything about an affair? But it isn't the first time you've been out when I've come home unexpectedly.
No, and it isn't the first time you've come home unexpectedly. Did someone let you down? Or were you hoping to trap me?
Forgive me if I intrude, but marital squabbling seems rather out of place considering what's happened. There's a murdered girl in the woods. The police are searching for her killer, and we are waiting to be questioned. I find the situation relatively serious. I suggest you devote your energies to keeping your mental balance rather than to picking each other to pieces.
Quite right. But I'll tell you, Kate, if I find out who he is, you'll be in the divorce court before you know what's hit you.
You might find that difficult.
Why?
Sauce for the goose. What do you get up to when you're so late back?
Don't you think we should do as the young man suggests? The situation's difficult enough. Why should we involve others in our differences? If only we knew more about this murder.
Why? So that we can think up the right answers to their questions.
If it's a choice of being sniped at by you or by my wife, I prefer my wife, thank you very much.
Ah, the inspector at last.
Let me go!
Libby?
Ah, well, at least we know it's not her.
Who?
Libby.
So that's your girlfriend, is it?
No, that's Craig's girlfriend.
Craig's? It can't be.
Why me, Craig? Why me? What have I to do with this girl?
Did the policeman ask you anything?
Oh, back off, will you? Can't you see she's in a state? Look, don't worry, Libby. They're only holding us for questioning. We'll soon be on our way home.
It's such an horrible place. Like a dungeon.
Tower. Well, more like a torture chamber.
Come and sit down.
That policeman stopped me in the woods. I was frightened. I thought I'd meet you on the path. I got back earlier than usual, so...
But we hadn't arranged to meet this evening.
On your way to your mother's cottage, were you?
What did the policeman say?
Now you're asking her.
Look, she's calmer now.
Well, that makes a difference, does it?
Do you still have your phone with you?
No, I left it at home. The policeman said I would have to wait here to answer the questions because there's a woman's body been found in the woods.
Did he tell you who she was?
Someone from the village, that's all.
Did he say who killed her?
No, and I never asked.
Had she been interfered with?
Interfered?
You're a morbid bloke, aren't you? He means raped.
The police think so. She was almost naked and her clothes were torn and scattered about.
Raped and then stabbed. How dreadful.
Or stabbed and then raped.
And you say I'm morbid? Only a twisted mind could think of something as vile as that.
Yeah, it happens.
Not with a normal man, even if he is a murderer.
What an extraordinary notion. Whoever killed the girl could hardly be classed as a normal man.
Or woman.
Woman? Don't be ridiculous. What woman would strip a girl naked and then stab her to death?
A woman who wanted to make it appear as though a man had done it. Plainly, you have a lot of reading to catch up on. Allow me to recommend a few good books to you.
I'm appalled to think what influence you have on the kids at your school. Moral anarchists, that's what you lot are. You're...
Perverted? Sick? Isn't everyone? The difference between you and me is that I know and I admit it. Self-knowledge is reckoned to be the greatest wisdom of all. Try some.
We're all policemen tone deaf. We should shut the hell up.
I know. Why don't we play a game while we wait for the inspector?
Oh, bloody childish.
I don't like the way that copper keeps coming back to check on us.
Probably means they haven't found anyone else yet.
It could mean he's waiting for the inspector to come as well.
Well, I wish you would hurry up and then we could all go home. I don't like it in here, it's so cold.
Look, I know it's none of my business. No, perhaps it is my business. After all, I am involved with you now, whether you like it or not.
What are you talking about?
Suppose it was you who killed the girl.
How fucking dare you!
Do wait until he's finished, Michael.
Finished? I will not have accusations.
We're all facing accusations.
I've already told you I had nothing to do with this girl. I was taking my usual shortcut home through the woods.
If you don't know who the dead girl is, how do you know you've never had anything to do with her?
Because I've never had anything to do with any young woman.
Then why did you say you'd be late and yet return early? It could only have been because you were going to meet someone.
Guilty people always blame others.
Don't be so trite.
Let's stick to the point.
You don't like me, do you?
I neither like you nor dislike you. How can I? I don't know you.
Then why go on at me?
To make sure there's no mistake.
To make sure? You mean that you...
Yes, to make sure I am not charged instead of you, right? Now, as your wife has already pointed out, there's a discrepancy in your alibi.
It isn't an alibi, it's the truth.
A discrepancy in your movements, then.
There is not. I had a late meeting with a...
You just told us it was dinner.
Dinner, then? What's the bloody difference?
Why so agitated?
Fling enough mud and it'll stick.
Ah, so you all play games after all?
I suppose you think I haven't noticed.
What have you noticed?
The changes in you these past months.
That's not really happening. I'm imagining all this. I must be going out of my fucking mind.
You must be, if you thought I wouldn't notice.
Notice what?
A wife develops a sixth sense about her husband where sex is concerned. A kind of involuntary telepathy. You've a little mistress tucked away somewhere. Why don't you admit it?
I will admit to nothing.
Don't blame you. Not now.
What's different about now?
What's different is, it might not be just an affair anymore. We still don't know who the dead girl is.
So, what bearing can that...
Well, she could have been your little mistress.
No, she wasn't.
Prove it.
She was not his mistress.
And what makes you so sure?
Because I am his mistress.
Oh, Christ.
He loves me, not you.
Love? Oh, you silly little bitch. Did you expect him to run away with you? He hasn't enough gumption to run anywhere.
So all this time you've been having it off with that middle-aged menopausal drip?
Oh, the male menopause. How fashionable. But it's not your heart that's broken, is it, Craig? It's your bloody pride that hurts. Maybe she finds a mature company director more satisfying than an anarchic pedagogue.
Oh, big verbal deal.
Do you little tart? Does my husband really satisfy you? Can he? I don't believe it. Never mind.
He's what?
I said never mind.
I do mind.
Touched a raw spot?
I had to tell them, Michael, I had to. I couldn't let them go on trying to make out that you killed that girl.
A touching confession. Not that it makes any difference.
Oh, but it does. It's my alibi and hers. It's the truth. We're both in the woods because we'd arranged to meet this evening by the ford at Druid's Brook.
So, my intuition was right. No business meeting, no dinner. Just a snivelling little tart.
Now look here, Kate.
I'm sorry, Craig. I didn't know how to tell you.
I'll chalk it up to bloody experience. Anyway, what makes you so sure your alibi holds up just because you've arranged to meet her?
I have a witness to my movements.
Oh, no. Only to your intended movements. Only to what you said you were going to do. Not to what you did. You didn't actually meet her by the ford. You could have been in the woods all afternoon.
I was in my office. The secretary was with me.
You can't keep your paws off them, can you? As long as they're not over 30.
Go to hell.
Seems like you're on your way.
Then what time did you arrive at the station?
Well, I caught the 5:45, so got back about 6:35.
And the police constable didn't find you until about 7, half an hour later.
I went straight to Druid's Ford. Libby wasn't there. I waited till nearly 7 and then started along the path to meet her.
Your usual train is the 6:25. Why did you catch the earlier one?
To meet his little bit on the side.
What's it to you, you bastard? You're not the inspector.
That's right. But if whoever killed that girl confesses before the inspector arrives, the others will be spared an awful lot of anguish, won't they?
And you accuse me of being the killer.
Not at all. Anyone could have killed her. But your idea of what you were doing between 6:30 and 7 is very vague. And it was around that time the girl was murdered.
How do you know that?
When the policeman detained me, he said that the body was still warm. Perhaps Libby wasn't the only girl you were having an affair with. Who knows? Libby, you might have been next.
Ignore him, Libby. He's mad. He ought to be locked up. Look at his eyes. If anyone here murdered that girl, he's the one. He's demented.
Did you know her, Michael?
How the hell do I know if I have no idea who she is?
Ah, so you admit you could have known her.
Stop twisting my words. You know what I mean.
Why did you ask whether she was blonde or dark?
Curiosity, I suppose.
Pretense, maybe?
What?
That you'd never seen her before.
Oh, not you as well, Libby.
You are in a sad position. Your wife detests you and now your mistress, or probably one of several, turns against you.
Your dislike is hardly new.
And why?
No need to bring that up.
Oh, why not? It could be conclusive proof of your innocence. A man with your sexual taste is hardly likely to kill a woman. More likely other way round.
Leave it, Kate.
This sounds bloody interesting. I must hear this.
You can be a revolting bastard at times, Craig.
And you're a two-timing bitch. How many other men have you slept with since you've been going out with me?
This is different. I often prefer older men. They know how to please me.
Different. If my experience is anything to go by, it certainly must be different.
You're longing to tell us something.
No, Kate, don't. Please. I beg you, Kate, please. Not now, not here. Not in front of other people.
Stop it! Stop it!
You stupid little fool. Can't you see? He loves it. Or didn't you get that far in your play dates?
No.
Well, so much for your taste. Who'd have thought?
I despise you. You couldn't have managed it better, could you?
Come. It's you who couldn't have managed it better. To be humiliated in front of your new mistress. What bliss.
Can you ever forgive me?
Oh, my God, here we go. This is just the beginning, believe me. I have to live with it.
Please try to understand.
You revolt me.
Use stronger language. He enjoys it more. Kick him. That's what he wants you to do.
Please stop it.
Kick him, you silly bitch. Put your foot on the back of his neck and watch him drool. Like this. Look.
I'm finding this most fascinating. To think that out of all the kids I teach, at least one will grow up like this.
Or something else equally bent.
Each man to his tastes. Many a man prefers to be cuckolded. That's why macabre games are dressed up as nursery rhymes. Here comes the chopper to chop off your head. That's the phallus going for the maidenhead.
Craig!
Psychological crap trap. Now, supposing I did kill that girl. Perhaps I do know her name and what she looks like. Whether she's blonde or dark or a redhead, for that matter. Maybe I don't know. Maybe I made her pregnant and I wanted to keep her quiet. Offered her money for an abortion.
What for? To save our marriage? To preserve the image of the faithful husband?
What would you do to me then, eh? What would you do?
Don't, Michael, don't.
He's getting aroused again. Look at his face.
Well, all full of words and then suddenly empty. Haven't you any ideas for an appropriate punishment to fit my crimes?
He's only exciting himself. He hasn't got the guts to kill anyone, and he knows it.
But would anyone have the guts to punish me?
Why should they? First you say you didn't murder the girl, and in fact you get quite uptight at this suggestion. Now you say you did, or you might have done. When the inspector comes, it will be another story. Every time another naked girl is found murdered, half a dozen men confess to it. Most of them are just bores in need of attention.
Well, maybe I'm just a bore in need of attention.
Seems so. Or very twisted.
Let's look back through my evidence.
If you want to. Well, with plenty of time. The sun has only just started to set, so we'll have to amuse ourselves somehow.
I'm in the dock, then.
If you wish.
Accused of the murder of this village girl. Of raping her and then stabbing her to death.
Rape? Him? Chance would be a fine thing.
This is no time for sarcasm.
He's serious about it. You'll have to go through with it. If you don't, he won't stop pestering us. And, as you said yourself, we may be here for some time.
But this is all a game. It's for a laugh.
Then try laughing.
All right. Prisoner in the dock. You stand accused of the murder of the girl in the woods. Her naked, blood-stained body was found some 2 hours ago, a short distance from this tower. She had been stabbed several times with a knife, which was found embedded in her body. Most of her clothes were strewn about the surrounding undergrowth, and there were signs of a prolonged struggle. How did you come by that scratch on your neck?
Scratch?
Where?
Look closely, Libby. It's not very long, but it's real and fresh. Well, there is one, isn't there? Come on, tell me what you see.
A scratch.
Fresh?
Yes.
As if done by a fingernail?
Not sure.
It was a bramble.
Possible. Except that brambles don't grow that high along the path through these woods, nor do they scratch as wide. Perhaps you strayed on your way.
I did not.
By your own admission, you had arranged to meet Libby by the ford at Druid's Brook.
Yes.
At what time?
7 o'clock this evening.
Why not when you came off the train? Obviously you wanted to give yourself half an hour to spare. Why?
To make sure I didn't miss Libby, in case she was early.
He was excited at the prospect of meeting his mistress. Those kind of men always arrive far too early, in more ways than one.
It was because you had arranged to meet someone else first, hadn't you?
No.
About a month ago, you sacked a young woman who was...
How do you know about that?
Kids. They talk, you know. Worst gossips in the world. They repeat everything their families say. This girl's younger brother is in my class. Why did you sack her?
Oh, I can tell you that. He wanted her to humiliate him and she refused. I can't blame her. There are healthier things to do, at least at her age. And at your age too, Libby, you ought to be thankful all this has come out.
No!
Fancy taking on a girl from the same village. You must have been stupid to employ her and then sack her. Nice cosy train journeys together.
Wrong. She shared a flat with some friends in Plymouth.
When you threw her out, you gave her money, right?
Usual week in lieu.
You gave her more than that.
What evidence do you have?
Her younger brother suddenly started boasting about his sister's new car. They're not a well-off family.
All right, so I gave her some money. It was the only decent thing to do. Particularly as she was not sacked, she was made redundant. Her work was perfectly satisfactory. My firm had just merged with another, and as a result, both firms needed to shed a few members of staff. Not uncommon these days.
Well, that's as maybe. But a few days ago, she came back for more money.
Rubbish! I haven't seen her since she left.
You refused, dismissing it as blackmail. She threatened to tell her father your career was in danger, your reputation. So carefully nurtured. You were on the brink of success. As a result of this merger, you were about to become extremely influential. The only threat lay in this girl blabbing.
Is this still a game, Michael?
Don't take any notice, Libby. He's only trying to frighten you so that he can have you for himself again.
Little you know.
So you stalled for a few days, telling her you need a little time to find the money. Seemed a lot to her, so she believed you. As she had been living at home since you sacked her, you told her to meet you this evening at Druid's Brook and promised you would bring the money with you. You phoned your wife to say you would be late and invented a fictitious meeting to cover yourself at the other end. You probably even booked a table for dinner back in town for later that evening as insurance.
To what?
When you arrived at the ford, the girl was waiting. You suggested a walk in the woods. You stabbed her again and again. She struggled with you and scratched you as you dragged her into the undergrowth and tore off her clothes to make it look like a sex killing. Unfortunately for you, somebody stumbled across the body soon after they killed her. So soon, in fact, that you could almost have been caught in the act. They rang the police, who detained you as you were waiting for the train to take you back into town for that dinner appointment. Had you caught that train, you would have given yourself the perfect alibi. But you missed it.
Bravo! Very ingenious. But not true. Simply not true.
Oh, Michael, you see what becomes of playing with fire?
You're not taking him seriously, surely?
I wouldn't put it past you. Weak men can be quite vicious when others turn awkward. I ought to know.
Yeah, but this is different. There really has been a murder. We wouldn't be here in this damn dungeon if there hadn't now, would we? Well, would we? Why don't you answer me? You don't really think I did it, do you? You can't. For God's sake, Kate, you don't think I'm a murderer, do you?
You murdered our marriage. So why not a girl?
Libby? Libby, please listen to me. I didn't do it. Of course I didn't do it. This isn't a game anymore now. I mean, playing is one thing, but reality's another.
You so sure?
Oh, you nasty, sadistic little worm.
Abuse makes it worse. You're blustering, a sure sign of guilt.
How can I convince you? This has gone beyond a joke.
Who said it was a joke?
That's how it started. That's fair game, you said.
How can it be a joke when the girl is dead?
Am I on trial for murder or for being myself?
We've established the fact you murdered the girl. What sort of alibi have you got for being yourself?
Let me tell you a little bit about myself, since you know nothing. One day, when I was about 10 or 11, I was playing with some friends. One of them had an elder sister. She was a spiteful girl, which is probably why I took a fancy to her. We were playing schools, and she was the mistress, and at some stage she decided that I would have to be punished. She grabbed hold of me, held me down with my hands behind my back, pulled down my pants, and beat me with a ruler. Naturally, it hurt, and I screamed and cried. But although it hurt, I was enjoying it, and so did she. After that, I would deliberately provoke her, and she would never fail to satisfy me.
Why are you telling us all this?
Does it revolt you?
Yes, it does. What do you expect?
Because it happens. It's real. People do behave like this. You can't tuck it pleasantly out of sight.
Why are you telling us? Are you wanting us to approve or disapprove?
I think it's pathetic. I don't even hate you for it, Michael. I just pity you.
For heaven's sake, don't do that. That's what he wants. Besides, he has quite enough self-pity of his own.
I take it that all that was in the nature of the last confession.
I don't consider it a sin. It's the way I'm made.
You're just sickening.
What are you going to do to me, then?
He can't wait. God, what does a woman do when she finds out she's married to a man like this?
Well, why stay with him? I wouldn't.
Duty, I suppose, or habit. Some kind of affection, or what remains of love. And yes, some hints still remain. There's hope that it may change some day, like a miracle. Though at his age, that's hardly likely.
What are you going to do with me?
I warned you, once you start with him, you have to finish it off.
An execution is called for, and I vote my favourite form of historical execution, the axe. Seize him! Here comes the chopper to chop off your head. Chip, chop, chip, chop, chip, chop, chip, chop, chip, chop, chip, chop.
To be continued.
Thank you for listening to the Plaza Theatre podcast. Although the theatre is closed, keeping the building maintained still costs money. If you've enjoyed our podcast today, please consider making a donation to keep theatre alive in Romsey. Visit plazatheatre.com for more details.